Welcome back to Adobe Photoshop CC. This is a continuation of the Animal Combo Book project. So you can see here I have a bunch of animal parts and I have two layers. They're actually groups. If I twirl open this group here, you can see I have several different animal parts along where we left off, which was the hind legs of the deer-like animal and the gorilla here. And so you know how to do this process of using quick selection and using the select mask options and basically just finessing. What I recommend you do after you create all your different or bring in all your different parts before you start free transforming and messing with them is to duplicate the whole group. So what I did is I just clicked on one of these layers, hold the shift key and select all of them, and then just hit Command G or Control G on a PC to make a group. I called it originals. So I have an originals copy here, which I'll turn on and turn off the bottom one. And you'll see right away that some things have changed. One thing is the flamingo sort of wing I decided not to use at all. The other thing is some images are completely turned off, which if we open up, you can see here, I still have the seal here, and I actually still have the flamingo here, and I still have the kangaroo ear, the other side. But what I decided to do was to only utilize one side, and I duplicated it and flipped it through transformation. I'm going to demonstrate that with the lizard tail here. Reason why I do this is basically because sometimes you have to apply a layer mask for things to happen. For example, on this layer, which is the lizard tail, I'm going to go ahead and hold Alt or Option and drag just to make a duplicate copy of this and demo on this layer. So if I hit Control T or Command T on the Mac, I can go to Free Transform. I can do a warp, and things look okay at this point. Nothing seems to be wrong when I warp it. Everything looks fine. And then I hit return. I'm like, okay, that looks great, no problem. But what if I want to select just a part to warp? So if I use the lasso tool, for example, and lasso a part of the image and use the hotkey of Control T or Command T on a Mac, then right click and warp. What will happen is once you start warping, you'll notice that the mask underneath starts basically separating. Now you can unlock this mask, and that will be one way, or you can simply to solve this problem, or you can simply apply layer mask. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this layer, and I'm actually going to apply the layer mask. So I'm going to right click on it and apply a layer mask, so it's one whole image. It just makes it easier. So first thing I want to do is have it go the other direction. So again, Control T or Command T on the Mac, and you notice my bounding box is better too now that the mask has been applied. It's much smaller instead of that great big one. So now I can have a little more control too. So another reason to possibly apply a layer mask, and since you have the original group, you have your evidence of your work and also the ability to go back if you need to. So I'm going to right click in here, go down to flip horizontal, and now I have it flipped the other direction. That's essentially what I did with the ears here. I just duplicated it and then flipped horizontal to have another one on the other side. So the lizard tail is going to come out here, but I was thinking it'd be kind of nice to have it curl around somehow. So again, if I right click in here and I could choose warp, I could start to warp. I could grab these sort of individual points and kind of manipulate a little bit, and some damage would probably start to happen. What I'll do is I'll hit enter return and hit Control Z to undo that action. One thing you can think about also is when you do these transformations, maybe do one at a time and then hit return. So notice I had to flip horizontal again. Once I hit return, if I make any transformations, I'll have to undo maybe once, but I won't have to go back to that original state. So again, Control T or Command T on the Mac, right click, and on this time, what I want to do is warp a little bit. And what I'm going to do is basically click in here, move some of these points just a little bit here. But then I'm going to go ahead and hit return, enter. And then what I want you to do is use the lasso tool and really warp this, just a section of it here. So again, I just selected it. Lasso has the key of L. I'm very used to using hotkeys, so forgive me if I skip a step, but here it is here in the palette. And again, hit Control T or Command T on the Mac. Again, you can go to Edit and Free Transform. There it is right there. It's the same option. Once you do that, then you can right click inside and choose Warp and again, what we'll do is we'll have better control over this little part, essentially. So if I drag these guys over, I can kind of move them around a little bit. And what I want is I just want a little bit more character to this tail. Something like this looks kind of cool. Be wary not to grab from here. If I drag from here and drag out, what will happen is it will separate the image. I'm not going to do it because I don't want that to happen, but just realize that. And now I can kind of move it in place and free transform it and rotate it. It's still going off the edge quite a bit, but what I'm going to do is leave it for now, because this whole animal might scale down a little bit. I do like the transformation I did, but the entire animal might scale down eventually. So this looks good overall. The next step would be to add the seal. So the seal part here, again, I'm going to right click and apply that layer mask just to make it a little bit easier to free transform this. Then hit Control T or Command T, and I'm going to scale inwards by holding Shift and Alt on the PC or Shift and Option on Mac to get a size I want. Basically, the idea here is to have a sort of fin that goes into the belly here. Now it's actually going the reverse direction. I don't really mind that, but if you did mind that, what you would do is right click, flip horizontal, have it that way, then come down like this. Actually, it does look more interesting this way, so I think I will keep it this way, the correct way, if the animal is facing this direction. And kind of apply it somewhere in there, probably about there. It looks pretty good. So this is the whole process. Again, the animal does not look realistic at all right now. The major components of making things blend together are going to be using the clone stamp tool, some masking, and color adjustment. So just realize that's another tutorial. So I think right now I've got all the components I want. I may want to duplicate the bird layer. So I'm going to go ahead and right click, duplicate layer, click OK. But this one I'm going to send behind the gorilla. So it's behind it. So I'm going to drag it all the way down here until I get it behind the gorilla layer here. Right in between here. You always want to make sure you have that one line there so it doesn't fall in that group. But now I can move it back behind, free transform it a little bit. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and apply the layer mask on this one too. Right click, apply layer mask. That way I can see my transforms easier. And rotate. So that the idea here is that, maybe we're getting a little bit of an extra wing or wings on the other end. Even though it looks pretty peculiar to have two tails and lots of different wing feathers. But again, this is a combination creature. This is completely made up, so you can do pretty much whatever you want. So I can have a lot of fun with this. So this concludes the tutorial on transformations, basically using the free transform tool and the warp and flip horizontal in Adobe Photoshop CC for the Animal Combo book project. Until next time, see you soon. Cheers.